Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. Probably going to be a short one today, maybe even very short, because as I've been working today, I've been listening to the impeachment trial in the Senate. An interesting contrast. Well, that's the key word, interesting. An interesting contrast to the earlier sessions with the House impeachment managers, where it was very repetitive, very hard to stay awake. The President's counsel, his defense team, is actually being very compelling and factual and interesting, so I've been listening. I'm recording now during a 15-minute break from the morning session. Well, we're now into the afternoon, so I'm just going to give you a couple of comments as I want to spend some time with you. I try to do it regularly, 5 days a week, rain or shine, no matter what. So I'll just give you a couple of quick items here. One of them having to do with the impeachment trial and one of them not. Well, actually not the impeachment trial, but anyways, without further ado, here's this headline. This came in early this morning. Supreme Court allows Trump administration to implement public charge test for immigrants. The Supreme Court ruled on Monday to approve the Trump administration's, quote, public charge, unquote, rule for new immigrants. The justices approved the rule by a vote of 5-4 along ideological lines. No surprise there. Quote, public charge, unquote, has in recent years been defined as a person dependent on cash assistance programs. The Trump administration updated the definition in August 2019 to include people likely to require non-cash government benefits and sought to implement a policy limiting the number of new immigrants who would require government assistance, such as food stamps or Medicaid. In other words, Trump is trying to prevent the entry into the country of immigrants who are going to be a burden on you and me by sucking up our tax dollars to provide for them. You need to be able to support yourself if you're going to come into this country, to have a job or have perhaps a family member or number of family members who can support you so that you don't have to rely on the government. I think this is very good news, so I wanted to share that. And the second item, the only other item I'm going to talk about today, which is Monday, by the way. I record these the day before you are seeing them. This is about, well, you're probably going to see a lot of these last-minute surprises, news items, news flashes that come out that are, on their first appearance, damaging to the president in the impeachment trial. They're trying to, the Democrats and their friends in the media, are trying to force the Senate to call witnesses, which to me makes no sense. They cannot possibly believe that they're going to get their witnesses without the President's counsel being able to call, say, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the whistleblower, and others. So I really don't know what they're about here. I think they're just throwing Hail Marys, grasping at straws, trying to save their case, which, from what I saw today, is not going very well for them. But the latest surprise to come out is that somebody leaked, well, Bolton is writing a book about his experience working in the White House, but because he was a confidant of the president, he has to have his manuscript vetted by the White House to make sure that there is no classified information, for instance, in that manuscript that should not be released to the public. Apparently, somebody leaked the manuscript to somebody else who told the New York Times that in that manuscript, Bolton says that the president did condition military aid to Ukraine on Ukraine announcing an investigation of specifically Joe and Hunter Biden. When I read that, I said, well, if he did, big deal, because, well, I'm going to read you Scott Adams, who is, well, you must know, everybody must know, he's the author, he's the writer, the artist of the very popular Dilbert comic strip, but he also writes separate commentaries, and he has a website. Very bright guy. I'm just going to read you what he said in a tweet. I'll put the tweet up and I'll read it to you. Bolton's book manuscript clears Trump of all impeachment allegations by demonstrating that the president believed Ukraine interfered in U.S. elections. Given that belief, right or wrong, pressuring Zelensky was completely within the job description of the presidency. Adams is saying exactly what I was going to say, but he said it better. I'll just elaborate a little bit. This mantra that we hear from our friends on the Democratic side that Russia interfered in the 2016 election, that it was Russia, not Ukraine, that President Trump is just putting up a smokescreen, making a false allegation. First of all, the two are not mutually exclusive. It's possible for both Russia and Ukraine to interfere in the 2016 election. And in fact, you could have Russia interfering to help Trump and Ukraine interfering to help Hillary. And I believe, as the president's counsel continues to present its defense, that you're going to see this come out, that you're going to see evidence that the Ukraine did interfere in the 2016 election, but more important, that the president had reason to believe that the Ukraine interfered, number one, and number two, we still have that whole issue of Hunter Biden's presence on the board of Burisma. What the heck was he doing? Why was he there? Why was he being paid so much money, $1 million a year? A guy who has no experience, no background, nothing except a father who at the time was vice president of the United States. But the point that Adams is making is it doesn't matter. What matters is Trump's motive. If Trump honestly believed, rightly or wrongly, that Ukraine interfered in the 2016 election, then he is perfectly above board and exercising his constitutional powers properly to ask for an investigation. Now, the results of that investigation may show that Ukraine had no involvement in the 2016 election, but that is not the point. If an investigation concludes that, fine. What matters is whether the president believed that when he was speaking with Zelensky. That is all that matters, and that's all for me today. As always, thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? You can put them in the comment section below the video, as well as any questions, suggestions for future topics. As I always invite all of you, I would like you to subscribe. If you haven't already, subscribe. It's really wonderful when you subscribe. You make my day when you subscribe. And finally, most important, you make the following day for me if you come back to see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again, and until I do see all of you again, bye.